Yo, it's dead in this town. You know, it's crazy. Gotta shake things up.
Really like that intro. Anyways, hello guys. Welcome to another episode of Double A. This is your favorite podcasters, Amber and Arianne. We don't know if we're actually your favorite, but we're just gonna say that we are. Okay, we just keep it at that. So we hope that you guys have a great week so far, and hopefully a good upcoming weekend. Anyways, we have some good cases. Okay, I was supposed to do this case around Halloween, but as you know, we were both out of commission at Halloween. So better late than never, I guess, because I'm not fixing to wait a whole year for this case. So the person I'm doing is a guy named Ronald Clark O'Brien. And if you guys don't know, he's dubbed as the Candy Man. And so it's an interesting story. There's actually a lot to it, but I'm gonna condense it as best as I can. Okay, so you guys bear with me. So this happened on Halloween of 1974. So we have O'Brien and we have two kids. Okay, his son Timothy, who at the time was age 8, and we have his daughter Elizabeth at age 5. This happened around Pasadena area in Texas. So what happened was, of course, being Halloween night, they decided to go out for trick-or-treating. The O'Brien family went with a close family friend who are named Bates. So we have the Bates kids. I think there was, I want to say 2 of them, but I think one of the kids decided to stay home, one of the Bates kids. So from what I read, there was a total of 3 kids. Okay. It was slightly raining, but of course, that's not going to stop anybody from trick-or-treating. Okay. So the kids were, of course, dressed up, and they go to a very rich neighborhood. And you know, anybody that has kids knows that that's where you go to get some really good candy. And I mean like full on, not name brand candy, basically. Like the king size. I mean, not miniature. You are, and they give out a handful, not just like, oh, you got 2 pieces. No, they give you a handful. So they go to this richy neighborhood. Okay, it is the 2 fathers, the O'Brien and the Bates, and then the 3 kids, 2 of O'Brien's kids and 1 of Bates's kids. Okay, so when they go to this one house. One house has all the lights off. Okay, but for some reason they decided to still go to that house and knock. They're standing there knocking, ringing the doorbell. Nobody comes. Okay. So after a few minutes, the kids were like, okay, well, we're going to head on to the next house. It looks like nobody's home. Okay. But O'Brien or Ronald decided, okay, well, you guys go ahead with Mr. Bates. Y'all go ahead to the next house. I'm going to wait here a little bit longer and see if anybody comes to the door. So the kids go off. They go and get more candy. Boom, bam, got candy. Here comes the dad. Okay, here comes Ronald. And said, you guys should have, I don't know if this is word for word, but basically told them, you guys should have just stayed there because this guy's handed out 22-inch pixie sticks. Okay, we all know what pixie sticks are. They're the long, thin, full of sugar pixie sticks. Okay, so long 22-inch pixie sticks. So then he decided, okay, well, I'm gonna hold on to these pixie sticks, wait until we get home. So they get home. The Bates family is still there. and then the O'Brien family. So then what happens next was, the kids are like, well, we want to eat our candy. And some parents let you have the candy, like just a few pieces. And then some others don't, I guess. I don't know. It just depends on the family. But anyways, Ronald decides, okay, yeah, you can have one piece of candy tonight, and then you can have the rest tomorrow or whatever, tomorrow throughout the day. So here's the really, really funny part, okay? Ronald gives this Timothy, the son, the pixie stick, not the chocolate, not anything else, but the pixie stick. Just gives him the pixie stick. So you know how sometimes they clunk up?
Mm-hmm.
So it was clunking up pretty bad. And here comes the dad, like helping him put it in his mouth, like shaking it up and all this stuff. Well, then the son, being 8 years old, was like, this isn't, like, it's not good, basically. It had a bitter taste to it. He didn't like it, none of that. So then the dad was like, well, here, drink some of my drink, wash it down, get that bitterness out. Not long after, I kid you not, like just maybe a few minutes, he started feeling really, really sick. Like really sick. To the point where he was telling his dad that his stomach was hurting, it was cramping, he just was not feeling good. So then the dad was like, well, why don't you just like lay down, relax, whatever. Then the son ends up running to the bathroom, like jets for the bathroom, and starts throwing up, like major, just starts throwing up. Then he starts convulsing. His whole entire body starts convulsing. And then the dad comes in, hears him throwing up, and then he starts convulsing in the dad's arms, basically. The dad's like trying to freaking out, trying to figure out what's going on. So he called the ambulance and told them what had happened. Like, I gave my kid a piece of candy. He started getting sick. He's convulsing, and I think the candy was poisoned. So the ambulance came, and then unfortunately, Timothy died within the hour of eating that pixie stick. Okay, so then now after that happened, we have the police coming in and investigating. And the person who's head of it was Detective Bill Lanier. It was actually his very first murder investigation. He was just a rookie detective, and he was with the Pasadena Police Department. And so he started getting scared that this was like a deranged man handing out poison candy. So he basically told the community, hey, we need y'all's candy. Like, this happened, we need y'all's candy. So thankfully, nobody else in the community-wise had pixie sticks except for Ronald. Ronald had 6 pixie sticks total. Okay. Timothy was the only one that ate it. I'm not sure what the daughter had ate or what the other kids had ate, but it was only Timothy that ate the pixie stick. So it was ruled that Timothy had died from cyanide poisoning. And the detective noticed the pixie stick, like whoever did this, like whoever did it, according to the detective, said that he was very, very sloppy in his work. Because rather than, like, a lot of times people know how to seal plastic back up, like the straws, because the pixie stick comes in that
It's
like
stapled.
material, that straw, yeah. So it was stapled. So they opened it up, put the poison in, and stapled it back up. So what they were looking for was any of the batches of candy that had staples in it. And thankfully, like again said, it was only the pixie sticks that had it. So then the detectives was like, okay, we're gonna talk to Ronald because he was the one that got the pixie sticks. So they go up to Ronald and they were like, hey, we need you to show us the house. We need you to show us like where you got the pixie sticks. So here's the real, like, I wouldn't say it's really funny, but you can just tell it was suspicious. He said he didn't remember where the house was. He said he didn't remember where the neighborhood was. He didn't remember directly which house it was. He didn't remember anything, basically, essentially. So then the police was like, how do you not know, the neighborhood that you were just in? And like he wasn't pressing for answers. He wasn't pressing for things to get solved. I mean, your son just died and you're not in no rush to figure out who did this to your son.
Right.
You were just like nonchalant, like, oh well, it happened, whatever. So then the detectives started getting suspicious. Community wise, everybody was getting anxious. They were just like, look, why haven't we found this guy yet? Like he's in our community, he's around our kids. What if it happens again? So then, being a rookie detective, he was feeling that pressure on him to get this thing solved immediately. So then he goes back to the dad and was like, we need this solved like now. And if it's not solved, they're basically gonna pin it on him or whatever. So he didn't want that to happen. So all of a sudden, with that threat, he remembered which house it was. All of a sudden,
yeah.
All of a sudden, with that threat, he remembered what house it was. So he goes, he tells the detective, hey, that's the house right there. That's where we got the pixie sticks from. So the house belonged to a guy named Courtney Melvin. He worked at a airport and he was an air traffic controller. So I'm not laughing because of what happened. I'm laughing because like this is just the stupidest thing. So Ronald was like, well, it was a man that gave me the candy. I know it was a man because it was man hands. He didn't show his face and his arm was really, really hairy. Okay. That was his description of the guy that handed him the pixie stick. So all of a sudden, now he knows where the house is. Now they figured out, they knock on the door, nobody's home. The detectives look, search and see who owns the house. It belongs to Mr. Melvin. They figure out where he works. They go to his work and arrest him in front of everyone. Okay? In front of everyone, in front of all his coworkers, in front of like people going into the airport, everyone arrested him. Okay? So, what Ronald didn't know, of course, they came in and did an interrogation of Mr. Melvin. And basically, Mr. Melvin was like, dude, I wasn't home until close to like midnight on Halloween. Like nobody was home. Now, mind you, remember that the lights were off. Nobody answered the door. And all of a sudden, Ronald got 6 pixie sticks.
Right.
And so the detectives were like, is there any way you can prove it? And so he, of course, being working at an airport, he's got the receipts of when he left. So there was no way around that time that this supposedly happened, that he handed out this candy. He was nowhere near his house. And then he lived by himself. So nobody was in that house. So Mr. Melvin's over here like, did someone just like break into my house and was handing out poisonous candy in my house? Because it was not me. And the detective noticed that Mr. Melvin's arm was not hairy. Like, it was like regular, hair, but Ronald was saying that it was like Chewbacca hair.
Like grotesque.
Yeah, like it was hairy. And so there were over 200 people that vouched for Mr. Melvin that was like, look, he was at the airport. He was here working, okay? Over 200 saying he was here at work. There was no way he was at home handing out poison pixie sticks. So they decided to go and have a search of his house, see if there was anything suspicious. Nothing suspicious in his house, of course. So then they were like, okay, well, now we're going to have to release you because there's nothing pinning on you. Plus, you have 200 witnesses saying that you weren't there. There's no possibility, So then they started looking more into Ronald because, again, Ronald was the one who had the pixie sticks. So Ronald never had any criminal background. He was a so-called upstanding citizen. He was involved in church. And they, the detectives were like, this doesn't sound right. So then they started looking into money, of course. Like everybody kills, or most everybody kills for money. So they started looking at his financials. So they had seen that he was in massive debt. And they also noticed that his work history was shit.
Yeah.
So he was within 21 jobs within 10 years. And that's a lot. Like 2 jobs a year.
Yeah, because within the last 15 years, I've had like 10 jobs.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's just 21 jobs within 10 years. So they were just like, okay, something's a little fishy. So then they noticed that he tried to get a loan for over $1,700 from a medical and dentist insurance bureau and was turned down. And then 8 days before the murder, on October 23rd of 1974, he got an extension from the medical branch credit union informing that he was expected to come into a large sum of money before the end of 1974. And so he told his co-workers that he was going to quit his job around November. And then, which of course the company was actually quite happy about that because they were fixing to fire him anyways. Apparently. So then we have the detectives found some insurance policies on the kids, mind you. So he purchased various life insurance policies on his kids months before Halloween. Not like years. This was just a few months. So the most recent policy was secured 1 month, exactly 30 days before Halloween. It was totaling $60,000. And then, which around today would equal up to about $158,000.
The craziest thing is, in order to get insurance, you gotta have money because you gotta pay the premiums. And the higher the amount is, the higher the premium is. So if you're strapped for money, how the hell are you gonna get this high ass?
Don't know. Well, I mean, we're talking about like back in the 70s, and then like even back in the 60s and 50s, we noticed a lot of these like people that couldn't really pay for anything had these outrageous life insurance policies. So I don't know how they were paying for any of this. So now probably people are wondering, well, where's the wife? So the wife was not at home during this, and the wife had no clue until she got notified that her son was in the hospital and her son was dead.
She didn't at work?
I believe so. They didn't really have any information on where her whereabouts was. So I'm figuring she was at work because she was neither at home nor out with the kids. So it was just the dads, the Ronald and Mr. Bates. Those two were the only ones out with the kids. And one of the Bates kids, mind you, was at home because she didn't want to go trick-or-treating. So it was only 3 kids. So the wife, Mrs. O'Brien, didn't know. Well, she knew that there was a life insurance taken out on the kids, but that was, again, they started it months and months before, but she didn't know the amount that he put up just 30 days prior to her son's death. She didn't know anything about it because he was the one dealing with it all. So all she apparently knew was that there was $10,000 each of them, and then they were to be enacted in January of 1974. So she didn't know about the 60,000. She only knew 10,000 each.
Which is reasonable for their income.
Right. So the wife, of course, didn't think, she was like, I don't think we really need the policies on the kids. She honestly did not think that it was necessary for them to have life insurance policies on the kids because she thought that they were already strapped for money.
Right.
So she was just like, I don't get this. But he was like, no, we need life insurance. So she was like, yeah, okay, whatever, And so she just thought it was the simplest amount, 10,000 each. They could afford it. Bam, kids are good. So Ronald was earning $150 a week from his job, but it was said that the family was over $100,000 in debt, which is a lot now.
Because, like, what are you doing unless you have student loans? How are you that deep?
Right. So the detectives also discovered that the day after Timothy's death, he had called the insurance company about going ahead and collecting Timothy's in life insurance policy.
They're supposed to come to you.
Exactly. So in August of 1974, Ronald put a work request in to the Texas State Optical about purchasing some cyanide. Okay. And if you guys remember, about 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Indian guy who purchased cyanide as a jeweler under a jeweler's name.
Yeah.
And said that he was polishing gold. So that's exactly what Ronald O'Brien did. So he called and basically said that he was needing it to polish some gold. So, of course, this was an unusual request because the optical field, they didn't use cyanide, or cyanide hadn't been used in the past 20 years. So they thought that this was odd. So 3 weeks later, Ronald put in another request and was referred to someone higher up in the company, which is, higher than the branch manager. And then in September 1974, he called a friend by the name of Bobby Terry, who worked for the chemical company, the Arco Chemical Company. And he told Terry that he was taking a chemical course in a college, in a community college, it seemed. And he didn't feel that the teacher knew enough about numerous types of cyanide. And so he wanted to ask him some questions. So then Terry, of course, was answering all his questions. But the questions range from where could one purchase cyanide and what is the fatal dose of cyanide. And then what procedures are used to detect unknown chemicals in a deceased body.
Huh? High alert.
So, yeah. So he's kept on discussing cyanide even to his coworkers. And then right before Halloween, Ronald had gone to Curtin Matheson Scientific, which is a chemical outlet in Houston area. Why did they have a chemical outlet? So he went there, basically. And
I can't believe it was open to the public.
Yeah, I think this was still around that time when, cyanide was still actually purchasable.
I'm talking about the plant, like the chemical place.
Right.
It seems like it would just be for industrial only.
Probably. He probably lied about where he worked to get in there. So, anyways, he went there, and a person by the name of David Lee Jackson, who was a salesperson, went up to Brian and was like, what can I help you with? And Ronald asked questions about buying a small amount of cyanide. And then he was told that 5 pounds was the smallest amount that this place sold. 5 pounds of cyanide. And it was too large of an amount that Ronald needed. He needed like a pinch, okay? And these people are like, no, the smallest amount we sell is 5 pounds. Take it or leave it. So, they were
gonna dispose of the excess.
It was one hell of a ride reading this thing. So Ronald would go and boast, or basically like just go to his coworkers and basically like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be rich soon. I'm gonna come to a lot of money soon. I'm gonna quit. This, that. Okay. So he did that. So after he called the insurance company and basically was like, hey, where's my son's insurance money? I need it. Ronald also told Mr. Bates, his family friend that went Halloween trick-or-treating with him, that he was going to be purchasing a new house. Okay. And of course the men talked about the price and the location of it all. And Ronald was telling Mr. Bates, hey, don't tell your wife that I'm doing this, because your wife is going to tell my wife. My wife doesn't, I want to surprise her, essentially. He's like, just don't tell anybody. This is between me and you. We're buying a new house. So then, of course, the detectives had enough assumptions, enough circumstantial evidence, I guess you could say, to go and interview Ronald and basically confront him about what they found. And then he basically so Ronald never fully mouthed off that he admitted he never really admitted anything during this interview. He was basically just nodding, he wasn't saying anything. He was just nodding to the detectives, basically. And so they were really confused as to why, he would just kill his son, or basically if they were just going to kill his son or kill his son and daughter. But mind you, he had 6 pixie sticks that he gave to the 3 kids. So it turned out later that they found out that he was planning on giving the kid, Timothy, the cyanide, and he was going to give his daughter the pixie stick, and then he was going to give Mr. Bates' kids the pixie sticks because he wanted basically a collateral, so it wouldn't trace back to him. They would think that it's just candy that was poisoned. So yeah, that happened. So anyway, his wife, of course, filed for divorce, testified against him, and Ronald didn't believe in the death penalty. Well, screw it, Ronald, you got the death penalty anyways. So he got the death penalty, and so his trial began on May 5th, 1975, and then his let me look it up here. So they had 2 scheduled execution dates, May 25th of 1982 or October 31st, 1982, which would have been the 8th anniversary of Timothy's murder. So of course, he still was like, you know what, I don't believe in the death penalty and whatever. So he was actually put to death. I believe it was by lethal injection, which serves him right. So he was put to death on March 31st, when he was around 39 years old. And then in his final statement, this is not in quotations, but it's like basically rounded off. He basically claimed that he was innocent. He didn't do it. And he never admitted to murdering his own child, and potentially harming 3 other kids. And he believed that the death penalty was wrong, but he forgave everyone that was involved in his death. Gotta love those kinds of killers right there.
It makes a lot of sense.
I'm telling you, you gotta love those kinds of killers. So that is the story of the Candyman, Ronald Clark O'Brien. There was a lot on him, but I just summarized it all as best as I could.
Well, I don't have that much detail. I never have that much detail in my cases. If I had that much detail in any of my cases,
it would be solved.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any case.
Well, actually, you've had 1 or 2 that had a lot of detail. It was just stupid police work that won't go and arrest some people.
True. The one I remember the most that had the most detail was the Curon case.
Oh yeah,
oh boy, yeah,
mother.
Yeah, that one. I still want to know where that baby boy is. So what I have tonight is the Hina family, or the Hina family. And I apologize, guys. I'm not in a good mood, so I'm probably a little flat. But it is what it is, and I'm going to get my children, my boys, and ring them if they don't sit down. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the Hina family. It's Hina. The date that this happened was January 14th, 1989. Seriously, I am recording. in a different room. The victims are Carl Hina, who was 49 years old. His wife, Lori, was 26. Carl's daughter from a previous marriage, Sarah, was 12. And Carl and Lori's 4-month-old daughter, Lillian. What happened was they died of a smoke inhalation from an apartment fire. And this was in Keene, New Hampshire. So we're going to set the scene. In the early hours of January 14th, 1989, roughly 31 years ago, someone set fire to a multi-unit apartment building. A suspect was apprehended. It was a man named David McLeod. He was arrested in West Sacramento, California on 4 counts of second-degree murder under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life. David was arraigned on the last Wednesday in June of 2010 on a fugitive from justice charge in Yolo County Superior Court in Woodland, California, and was held without bail while the New Hampshire officials attempted to extradite him to face his charges. In 1989, when the fire occurred, David McLeod was a real estate agent working in New Hampshire. Although the connection between McLeod and the Hina family was unclear, a retired Keene police detective believed that McLeod started the fire to get back at an ex-girlfriend and her possible new lover that lived in the same complex. This information devastated the McLeod family and broke David's life into shambles. In 2011, David McLeod, then aged 54, and his lawyers were in court challenging evidence prosecutors saying that McLeod set the fire. Caroline Smith cross-examined, stating that reports said that McLeod had threatened to burn the house in which his ex was living, and witnesses came forward quoting McLeod saying that after the fire, he torched the whorehouse. Yeah. One lawyer, Norton, stated that the fire was caused by carelessly discarded cigarettes that ignited a couch. Smith challenged that, stating that it did not cause the fire and that Norton's investigation predated the 1991 inception of national standards for arson investigations. The apartment was located at 88 High Street. The report came in at 2:25 on January 14, 1989. The building had 9 units and was filled with smoke when the firefighters arrived 4 minutes later. The Hinas were trapped in one bedroom. In the preliminary search, they were missed. They weren't in the only room. They were in the only room that wasn't searched. The fire chief, Robert N. Guyette, didn't know there was another room until after the smoke cleared and they could see. The house was a tenement with 2 apartments and 7 single rooms. It was known as a party spot. 19 people lived there at the time of the fire. The house was the center of trouble and complaints and often had the police called over. There was a lot of drug use going on in there as well. The house had red and green paint, and it gave the intersection its name, Christmas Tree Corner. Neighbors say that the neighborhood has improved and has been peaceful since the house was burnt down. Damn. That's all I have on that case.
Okay, so how many people were burnt with the house?
Just the Hina family, however you want to pronounce them.
Which includes
The husband, the wife, a daughter from a previous marriage and their daughter.
So four people.
The youngest being 4 months old.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it's fucked up. They were in the only room that wasn't searched.
I was wondering why wasn't
They were, I guess they thought being, getting in one room would be safe. I think they were on the second floor, which was why they didn't escape through the windows. But still, 2 floors up, that's not that big.
Oh, you could still go down.
Yeah, but they had a 4-month-old.
Well, one of the dad could have went down first.
And then caught the baby.
Mm-hmm. Caught the baby and then caught the oldest. And then the wife came down.
Climbed down something. But there was no mention if there's like a fire escape or if there was any kind of balcony.
It was
or
just
free fall. There was
so the only thing that we have is possibility. They said that it could be couch caught on fire because someone didn't dispose of a cigarette.
properly. Which they also didn't really state that the family smoked. They just assumed that everything was burnt
But they
down.
also said that this place was a party.
And lots of drug use. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the family was involved.
No, but it could mean that somebody else was in there.
Possibly. There was 19 people in that building that lived.
Okay, so it's an apartment building, right?
With 2 family homes and 7 single rooms. So it's almost like a college style.
So they all shared like a common area?
Not the family home. The 2 apartments that were full on for families had everything, but the other rooms possibly shared one area.
So there's no notice or no known anybody that has anything against
No.
that specific family. Or
No.
anybody that lived in that building.
The only thing was the Mr. McLeod that had an ex-girlfriend that lived in the building. And that was the only suspect that they had, the closest relation.
So the family could have just been there just because they lived there and it wasn't really towards them. It could have been anybody.
Wrong apartment, right building.
Oh, man. And still not solved. Well, I don't think it's not going to ever be solved.
No.
It's an arson case, and then it's not gonna be solved.
It's 3 decades old.
I mean, there's some that can get solved, but it's an arson, and like the only thing that they came up with, well, it could have been a cigarette, and knowing that.
However, McLeod was quoted by witnesses saying that he burnt down the whorehouse. So why would he say that if he didn't really do that?
Because people are stupid.
But also, how if this place gets burned down in New Hampshire, but he gets apprehended in California? So he fled. I mean, but he was a real estate agent. So
he could have probably been doing a number of things just because,
mm-hmm.
he could have been in a number of like illegal stuff.
There's no telling.
So sadly, nobody
knows. Yeah.
Yeah, that poor family. It's not going to be known. Those 2 boys. They just want to be shown. They want, especially one that just hates wearing t-shirts. Thankfully, they have pants on. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
They have pants on.
Anchor, I wish I was in a better mood to be joking and giving you guys my personality, but I'm just not.
It happens. Trust me, it happens. It's not a big deal. Not everybody can be in a good mood all the time.
There's
So
nothing wrong with me. I'm just not in a good mood.
I was like that yesterday. I was getting annoyed at everything.
I'm not irritated. I got my bed frame today. It came in 3 boxes, and every tiny piece has to be put together.
Don't you just love that?
Maybe I am irritated about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like you probably don't know that because nothing has really hit you that's been irritable. But yesterday, I was just not having. I was so through with yesterday. I was just like, screw it. I even told Daniel, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not in a good mood. I was not. I even stormed in the bedroom, and he didn't do squat. Like I just went in the bedroom and was upset.
But I am excited because I got my king mattress before I got my king frame, and it's super comfy. And then I have this mattress topper that's even more comfy, and I laid on it before I was supposed to let the bed rise.
I was like, you're not supposed to lay on it until it.
Because it's a mattress that comes out of a box, so it's supposed to rise. But I made it all up, and it looked comfy, and it was like really freaking huge. So I said, let me take this baby for a spin, and I lay back on it, and it was like falling into an ocean of pillows, but firm pillows. Like it was perfect for my body. And I didn't want to get up, but I said, let me get up because if I don't, my husband's gonna kill me. And then the first thing he said is, why did you make the bed up? It hasn't been 24 to 48 hours. And I'm like,
I honestly, I don't blame you because I would have done the same thing. Because as soon as I got sheets on my new mattress, I was like, I jumped on it and I spread out. Like I was spread eagle. I was like, nope.
Like these are freshly clean sheets. I'm going ahead and put them on. The bed smells great. I'm ready. We got to put this big old wooden king frame together. Then get this big king mattress on this frame. I'm just so excited to have lights on the headboard because I do a lot of work at night, and I will like be researching and stuff, and I always have lights on. And then when he comes in and he wants to go to sleep, he's a third shifter, he puts a pillow over his face, and I'm like, now I don't have to have this big bright light. I have this little light above me.
I'm gonna be doing a curtain lights back there. It's gonna be a sheer curtain with lights in there.
I can't wait, but I'm just a blonde.
That's how you know that we're old when we get excited about beds. Like we're just like
beds and curtains and pots and pans.
Man, I'm telling you, anything.
You were with me when I bought my Pioneer Woman set for like less than $100, and I was just like, "This is a cute set. I'm gonna go ahead and get it." I think it was the last set. I just went ahead and bought it.
Yeah, it's nuts. I even like when I tell my mom, like I told her I was like, look, I don't need clothes. If you can get me kitchen stuff or any cleaning products are expensive as hell. Okay, give me cleaning products. Give me laundry stuff because that's expensive.
It's hilarious that you say that because Zach's aunt asked me, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, cleaning supplies. She said, what, really? You really want cleaning supplies for Christmas? I said, yeah.
Yeah, put it all in the caddy. Put it all nice in the caddy.
Or a laundry basket, because I need a laundry basket.
Yeah, and then wrap it. Like, bam.
I don't even need it wrapped. Just put it in a bag and just give it to me.
Right, with a card. Merry Christmas. There you go.
I don't even need a card.
Shoot, I need a card.
It's a Kroger gift card.
Or I'm telling you, that's how you know we're old when we that's all we want. But okay, our double I don't know what we're gonna call you guys. I want to come up with a name for you guys. A little name. Our little
the A Squad.
A Squad. Oh, isn't that what's that old TV show?
You're talking about the A-Team. But yeah, I don't. It's like you said you would come up with a name. I'm like, dude, I come up with the names. Yes.
Yeah, I don't. I suck at coming up names. No. You know what? But the A team sounds really good because that can go because y'all are tough as nails too.
Yeah.
Y'all are all of different shapes and colors, which we love.
All over
So
the world. I love that we are trending in like the smaller countries, but definitely in different countries.
y'all are the A team.
A team all over the world, we love you, and we're gonna quit rambling. I'm gonna try to perk up my mood. I'm probably not.
I
Sunday
gotta
will
go
be
make some
different.
burgers and some homemade fries.
I'm
Y'all have
mad. Before we hang up, I'm mad because I did not bleach my hair and I dyed my scalp.
her scalp is pink.
I don't know. Can you see?
Well, it's like reddish pink.
Can you see?
Yeah, it's like reddish pink.
Well, don't worry though. My cousin's gonna get me right. She's gonna bring the bleach and bleach it. I didn't purchase bleach when I got the dye, so she's gonna bleach it and then we'll dye it, and then you'll see. Hand me that bottle.
A new hair.
I can't show titles in here, but if you know this bottle, then you know this bottle. But where's my thing?
It's like reddish pink.
It is called flamboyant pink. Yeah, it is the deepest pink I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's I think it's pink with a red base, so that's why it's got some red in there.
Yeah.
But anyways, A team, we hope you guys have a great rest of the week, rest of the night, rest of the day, whenever you guys are listening to this. Have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend.
I have two new podcasts. One I don't really want to discuss because people are judgmental. The other one is about paranormal and conspiracy theories. And both of them are with my cousin. And they're both about to be up. So check out Pushing the Outer Limits with Luna and Seba at some point because you're going to want that.
So keep a watch out on that, you guys. But again, we hope you guys have a great week, safe weekend, safe holidays next week. Enjoy. If you guys, we love y'all's support and we love y'all's viewership.
Email us.
Yes, email us. Let us know what you guys want to see on Sunday Fun Day. Not so much cases. We've got enough cases.
We want Sunday Fun Day.
We need Sunday Fun Day. So we're gonna end it here. We love you guys.
I'm gonna put up our number for you guys to text us. Text us Merry Christmas. Let me see. Where's our number at? This is actually the number I use for my other podcast, but you can text us on this number. It will get to both of us. So text us.
Okay, y'all have a great night. Good night. Good morning. Bye.
Adios.
How?